Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a show in which I chat with authentic, heart centered experts about life changing topics to spark, inspire, and motivate personal and professional change. Today, our topic is quantum healing through Tesla energy. And this conversation is worth your while if you love an improvement in your spiritual, mental, and physical health, and if you recognize that biological remedies are not always effective. And if you're open minded, today's episode might just give you the answers you've been looking for. So, I am Linda Bucher. I am a speaker and a master certified life coach. After living the life of a chameleon and being all victimy for about 45 years, I finally discovered who I am and I connected with my passion and my purpose. And then I reinvented my life to align with my truest self. And you know what happens when you do that? Well, I've become happier, more confident, more fulfilled. But more importantly, this transformation resulted in me confidently unleashing my gifts to the world. So now it's my honor to help you do the same in your life. Because guess what? You have a rich, full life to lead, and you have really important gifts to give to the world. You have a splash to make. And for that to happen, you've got to do 5 things. I'm going to tell you what they are. I'm going to let the cat right out of the bag right now. You've got to, number 1, know your worth. You've got to, number 2, become clear on your purpose. Number 3, harness your gifts and own your power. Number 4, align your energy and your direction with all that you just found. And number 5, free yourself from all of those obstacles that want to hold you back. So that's what I love helping people do. And if you want to know how close you are to getting unstuck and creating that purposeful life, I've got this super fun quiz you can take. It's on my website. You can discover your advantage for achieving that meaningful, fulfilling life. And it's all based on your adventure persona. So if you want to know what your adventure persona is, you can take my little quiz for going big. It's on my website at lindabucher.com/the little quiz for going big. Or you can just find it through a link on my website. So let's get back to today's guest and today's topic. It's very, very interesting. And if you're open-minded, this might just blow your open mind. Okay. So today I have the pleasure of being joined by Tom Paladino, and he is making positive ripples in one of the most unique ways I've ever come across. Tom is a humanitarian who researches and applies something called scalar or Tesla energy to improve the energetic health of individuals, which then ripples into healing the world. So, Tom, hello. Thank you for being with us today.
Linda, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, I am so excited to be speaking with you about this unique and new topic, new to so many, although with some of the stats you've told me, which we'll talk about at the very end, it's really not new to everybody. But let's talk a little bit, just quickly, if you could just introduce yourself a little bit more, tell us a little bit more about who you serve and how you're making these big, beautiful ripples in the world.
Sure, I'd like to do that. I'm a researcher. I work with what is known as scalar light. That's the energy of the cosmos. And the purpose of my work is to help people. The upshot of any type of research should be to improve the human condition. That's what I'm trying to do. I am a humanitarian.
Well, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I know what you're doing is so unique. So let's just walk through it in a more organized fashion. Okay. So what is scalar or Tesla energy?
It's a great question. Tesla energy, scalar energy, is the energy of the sun and the stars. I mean, look at the universe. Where does all the energy, the light come from? The sun, the stars. I want to tap into that energy, that Tesla energy from the sun and the stars. And in so doing, it's an incredible tool.
All right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Tesla. How did he study this? Where did this concept come from, and how did he study it?
Well, Tesla was given this knowledge by God. What Tesla did was groundbreaking. So there was no college textbook. How did Tesla discover this? Well, God gave him the wisdom. And I want to pursue that, if you will, philosophy of Tesla and much of his research that I believe was divinely inspired. Why do I want to do this? I believe this type of technology will change the world. That's the key. This is the type of technology that will improve the human condition.
And that's a noble thing for sure. So, okay. So tell us a little bit about what Tesla created to study this.
Yeah, Tesla was fortunate enough that he had the engineering background that he could create instruments that could control the energy, harness the energy of the sun and the stars. Now, that is quite difficult because this is a new branch of physics. This is not electricity. But Tesla, in his brilliant mind, was able to do that with instrumentation. So this is, if you will, a scientific approach to harnessing the energy of the stars and then using that energy as a tool, in many cases, as far as I'm concerned, for quantum health.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so it's been studied. It's physics. It's not really being used very much. However, hopefully that'll change in the future. So now let's move into the healing part of it. We want to talk about how energy can heal us. Now, we are energetic beings. I think most people will concede that. We know that from a lot of different ways. First of all, our animals come to us when we're in need and they give us what we need. How do they know that? Do they read our minds? Right. No. They feel our energy. They feel when we're scared. They feel when we're anxious. They absolutely can mirror us. We can use them in that way because they can mirror us. So also, we have modalities out there. Many people have experienced Reiki, Qigong. We recognize that there is energy and that energy can be used to heal. And so when we're using those modalities, we are being healed at an energetic level. And for people who have gone through that, they will testify, yeah, that's true, right? We also know that we're energetic beings because we feel other people's energy. You know, sometimes you can walk into a room that's totally silent and you can feel if there's tension in the room. Right. Or you can feel if it's like super relaxed and low key. We feel that we do have this sense of being able to feel energy. So it's kind of like gravity. You might not understand it, but you can feel it. It's there. Right. I don't get it. I don't get how gravity works, but yeah, that's there. I get it. So we're talking about how energy can heal us. So we're not talking about when somebody does Reiki, and I'm bringing that up because I think most people are familiar with Reiki. Okay. Someone does Reiki. They're not actually physically touching us, which is fascinating. Right. And so they are not touching our biology. They're not giving us chemicals. They're not giving us medicine. They're not moving our limbs around. It's not biological per se. Right. They're working at what you would call an informational level. So let's talk about what's informational level. It's kind of like maybe, would you say it's like maybe the energetic version of your cells and your DNA, kind of like that, but at the energy. But
it's the template. That's a good point. It is the template. It is, if you will, the blueprints of a person. I don't work biologically. I work at a higher level of information, which serves as the template or the instructions. So to be clear, this new science is non-physical. It's informational. Hence, we don't have any physical barriers, nor do we have any physical complications. When we keep it at the level of information, it's so much easier and it's so much more effective.
Right. Okay. So I love that you brought up no complications. So yeah, when we're being poked and prodded or we're taking medications, there could be side effects. But and I'm going back to Reiki because people know that, right? When we go back to Reiki, we don't assume there's going to be negative side effects of Reiki because there's nothing that is interfering in a negative way. It's more about realigning that blueprint, correcting what that blueprint in time is, right? So it's like at a moment in time, if I were to take a blueprint snapshot of your energy, right, there's stuff that's a little out of alignment, right? There's some dis-ease at a cellular level, and then the energy signature of that is what we're talking about, and that's what these modalities are targeting, is that the energetic signature of what physically is going on.
Yes, that's correct? Brilliant. Yes. Okay. Why? Because everything begins as intelligence or information. Again, to be clear, we're not working at the chemical level, which is the end result. why not work at the template? Why not work at the first cause, the informational level? It's so much easier without negative consequences.
Right. Okay. So when we're talking about healing at the energetic level, we're actually talking about influencing the signatures, right? Of that
Yes.
blueprint that's on that blueprint. That's
Yes.
influence that signature energetically.
Yes.
So it's an energetic type healing.
Yes,
Right?
correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Now we're not going to talk about yet how you're doing this because it is fascinating and really unique, but I want to keep going through a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about, now we want to tie together. We talked about Tesla, we talked about energy, we talked about his engineering, right? Now we're talking about the truth of, the fact that we're energetic beings and that there are many energetic healing modalities that, they wouldn't still be around if they weren't working, put it that way. Okay. So,
yes.
So here, now let's tie the two together. Now, you've been researching for 50 years, I believe, about
Correct.
how you can apply Tesla instruments to address that energetic signature.
Yes.
Am I right? Okay.
Correct. Correct.
All right. And just like Reiki or Qigong, there's not a human interpretation required. When someone does Reiki, no one is reading a chart. They're not like, here's what I found here. It's just like, listen, this is just working. We're applying a healing modality at an energetic level. And right. So you are doing that using Tesla instruments.
Yes.
Which we talked about has no negative side effects. And again, it needs no human interpretation. So let's talk about how, not exactly how it works yet. I still want to say that for the end. It's so exciting. It's so interesting, But this is, in fact, what you're doing. You're taking Tesla instruments, not something you made up, something that was scientific, proved by Tesla, right? And you are applying it to the energetic level.
Right.
Okay.
Behind me are scalar energy instruments. They act like energy instruments to the point that they can illuminate a light bulb in my hand. So these are unique instruments that control that energy spectrum, scalar energy, at the informational level. So this is a tool, if you will, that can be used in many applications. I use this for what I call quantum health or Tesla energetic health.
Okay. I love you got your workshop behind you. So anyone, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, you might want to head on over to YouTube and check out Tom's workshop because look at all this stuff we got behind you. This is pretty crazy. Fascinating. And you just held up a light bulb. Hold it up again. I want to see that light bulb lit up in your hand.
The energy is so strong emanating from the instrument. The instrument can light up, illuminate a light bulb in my hand.
So you are just getting close to it. You're not touching it and it's lighting up.
Correct.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. I love that demonstration. Thank you. That was excellent. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So you've been researching. You're a researcher, humanitarian and a researcher. Yes. And you have been researching for about 50 years at this. Okay.
That's right.
And now you have been applying the Tesla instruments to help influence the energetic signatures of humans. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So your research is anecdotal because, again, there's no human way to read a chart to see how it's working. And how many people have experienced the work you're doing?
I've worked with, over the past, I'd say 30 years, with probably 200 million people.
Oh my gosh, that is a giant number.
Yes.
That's amazing. Wow. That's huge. That's a lot of people. And I know you're since your research is anecdotal, you're collecting results based on testimonials. People can only report back to you how they feel, changes that they feel.
That's correct. Yes.
And you told me, all in all, you have somewhere between 10 and 15,000 testimonials.
Exactly. So many we can't fit them on the website. Exactly.
Wow. But I know you have like a couple thousand on your website. I did start reading them, but I'm not reading them all. There's way too many to read. Okay. All right. So All right, that seems like a pretty decent sample size, right?
Yes.
Statistically, to have 10 or 15,000 testimonials. And I recognize that there's a couple things going on. So, I know in social science, when people expect a result, they may feel a result. That's why the placebo effect, there is such a thing as a placebo effect. However, there's also, what I believe to be true is there's also the fact that when you believe something, you're manifesting it too. So that's
true.
So, maybe it's not all placebo, right? Maybe you've actually manifested that good health. So at the very least, if people believe in your work, at the very least, if they're manifesting this health because they believe it's going to work, that's still good enough for me, right? However,
thank you.
You've got, with this many testimonials, there must be something to this work. What areas of your work, before we tell them how you do it, like I know, like this is remote healing, okay? And so what you're trying to influence is based on is integrating the energy of health into the energy of the person, right? At a nutshell. So I know nutrients are one of the things that you look at, that you're trying to, that you are imparting into their energy, someone's energetic signature. Nutrients. Okay. So nutrients, we can all understand it affect us at a cellular level, all the cells. They don't pick and choose. It's all the cells. All the cells benefit from these nutrients. What other things are you imparting besides nutrients?
Yeah, I've discovered when working with this energy, it will automatically balance the chakras and the brain waves. How does that happen? The energy has an inbuilt intelligence. Again, this is an informational system that does not require me to diagnose or interpret. The energy does all the work. The energy is the inbuilt intelligence.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Okay. All right. So, we're going to talk about how you do it because it's pretty fascinating. So it's remote healing, and I have experienced remote healing in other modalities, and it is pretty fascinating. Energy, you don't need to be in the physical presence of someone for energy to work. Anyone who knows a medium knows that,
Yes.
So now let's talk about this modality that you're using.
Yes.
Okay.
The modality is not electricity or magnetism. Tesla discovered that there's two energy fields: electricity, electromagnetic energy, and what he called radiant energy, or what we call today Tesla energy. I call it scalar light. So this is a new tool. Yes, electricity around our home performs many functions. That's a tool. I am using another type of energy as a tool, scalar energy, scalar light, to identify disease signatures and negate disease signatures.
All right. So now let's talk about how. How do you get my signature?
Okay. Now, here's the how. Now, keep in mind, this is not electricity. When a person is able to email me their photograph, it has their signature, it has their template upon the photograph. This is my photograph. It has my template. It has my information field, including my disease signatures. So the scalar energy instrument does not work with people in a biological sense. It works with their information field on the photograph, identifies the disease signature on the photograph, and negates the disease signature through information. Never putting into peril our chemical state, our biological state. Only working at a higher level of information, thereby never occasioning any biological response.
So when I give you a picture of me, it's carrying my energy. I give it to you. Here's my energy. I'm giving this to you. And it allows you to tap in to the signatures of my energy.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So
Correct.
that's where the picture comes in. Okay.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
you've got instruments. Now,
Correct.
these
That-
instruments, let's talk about what do they do with that signature? Once you've got the ability to have I gave it to you, it's attached to me, it's remote, I get it. Okay.
I actually take a person's photograph and I place it inside the instrument so that the instrument now is influencing their information field, just as my photograph now is inside that instrument. That's the key to my work. Once a photograph is inside a scalar energy environment, we access their force field or their aura. Many people believe there's an aura or a force field.
Sure.
So working at the level of aura, we can identify disease and eliminate disease through the auric field, through the force field.
Okay. So your machines now are using Tesla energy to read the auric field.
Correct.
Okay. And then when you want to impart the nutrients or a chakra balance, what else do you do? Would you put something else in the machine? Sometimes
if I want to perform a specific function, let's say I want to eliminate a bacterium, I'll take a photograph of a bacterium and place it in the instrument next to my photograph. So the energy field of Streptococcus is identified in my information field, and I can negate or I can bring that disease signature to a state of chaos. So you either have a disease state that exists or you reduce the disease state to chaos. Once a disease, in this case a bacterium, is reduced to a state of chaos, it ceases to exist.
Wow. Okay. This is really unique and different.
Yes, it is.
So just to recap, because I want to make sure I have this really good understanding of this. Okay. Most people I think will buy in that we're energetic beings. And I don't think it's a far reach to say that we have an energetic signature, which would of course have what's right and what's wrong biologically in it, in the energetic signature. And now you are using energy to influence energy. That's what you're doing. Okay.
Yes, brilliant. Exactly. We're working at the chemical state because there is an energy of disease. And when if you will reduce, negate, eliminate the disease signature, disease ceases to exist. You don't have to rely upon a chemical action. It's informational.
Right. And that also aligns with manifesting, when you are believing and declaring and feeling in very good health, you are influencing your energy. That's what you're doing. You are healing yourself energetically through, so it's in alignment with that. Absolutely. Which I find very fascinating.
Thank you. What is so fascinating about this? When you work at the level of cause, so first cause energy, you can command nature. That's what I do with the scalar energy instrument. It's a tool that commands nature. At the chemical level, that's not fundamental. Why not go back to the template? Why not go back to the fundamental level of energy, of information?
Wow. Absolutely. Okay. So, all right, Tom, we've given our audience something brand new to consider.
Yes.
But what I love is that you don't need people to take your word for it or even take the word of all the other testimonials, because you've got something that you offer them.
Yes.
So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, since this is groundbreaking, nobody, by the way, has ever accomplished this. My work is unique. These instruments are unique. I give away 15 days of free session. Anybody in the world, without obligation, can email us your photograph, and we will identify disease signatures in the quantum field and eliminate them. It's a simple, easy, painless process because we're not working again at the chemical level. We're working at the level of information.
So all someone has to do is email you their photograph, which comes with their energy, which you can tap into, and you take it from there. And for 15 days, you're going to put it in your magic machines.
That's correct.
And then they can see, they can experience whatever they experience. And then if they experience something good, That can give you a testimony and be part of your research.
Thank you. By way of analogy, Linda and I are having a conversation through our computers. Linda is not in my computer, it's her image. Well, likewise, if Linda emails me her photograph, her image will then be placed in my instrument that acts like a divine computer. So if Linda and I can have this conversation through our image in the computer, then I can have a conversation. I can make communication by way of a person's energy field through their image, which is a photograph.
Fabulous. Pretty cool. All right. Well, Tom, this has been a very fascinating conversation today. And I want to thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. So what I'll do, Tom, is I will put, I know it's right on your website. What is your website? Can you say it out loud?
Scalarlight.com.
Okay. So at scalarlight.com, people can hop right on that 15-day trial, no obligations, no credit card required. Just hop right in and experience this for themselves, correct?
Email us, yes. Email us your photographs and include your family members with their permission and your pets. Include your pets.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Absolutely. Okay. So thank you again for being a guest on Conversations Worth Your While. It's been a very fascinating and enlightening conversation. And I'm just so grateful that you are sharing your this new modality with the world. It's very fascinating. And then for our audience, I want to thank you for being a devoted listener, for being open-minded, for being willing to learn and expand. So Conscious Expanders, let's unite. And once again, I'm Linda Bucher, speaker and master certified life coach, and I'm on a mission to inspire and impact millions of people to know their worth and share their gifts, deliberately creating big, beautiful ripples in the world. If you're feeling a little stuck, go ahead and take my quiz right on my website, lindabucher.com, and you can discover just how close you are, like based on your adventure persona, to creating a life that you're meant to be living, that's fulfilling, and that's meant to be shared with others, sharing your gifts. So that is our show. I'd love if you would subscribe. And then I'll see you next time. And until next time, please subscribe and make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.